Now at 10, details of an Amtrak derailment that killed 3 people and injured dozens in Missouri. Plus, Carthage prepares for the return of one of the area's largest festivals, and why a Southwest Missouri pregnancy center has increasing concerns following the Supreme Court ruling on abortion rights.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
At least 3 people are dead after an Amtrak train hit a truck in rural Missouri. This is KOAM News at 10. Federal investigators will arrive tomorrow morning to try to figure out what happened. Dina Demetrius has the latest.
At least 3 people are dead after an Amtrak train traveling from Los Angeles to Chicago derailed in rural northern Missouri. Amtrak says the derailment occurred just before 1 p.m. local time after the train slammed into a dump truck that was blocking a public crossing. The driver of that dump truck is among the deceased. Officials say 243 passengers and 12 crew members were on board the train when the incident occurred. First responders rushed to the scene using ladders and other tools to get into the heavily damaged train cars.
Multiple law enforcement agencies, ambulance districts, first responders, fire departments, and medical helicopters responded to assist.
The train had roughly 8 cars. 7 derailed. Multiple people were also injured during the incident and were transported to local hospitals by helicopter and ambulance. Their conditions are not known at this time.
It's an uncontrolled crossbuck intersection on a gravel road, so no lights, no electronic control devices, things such as that.
Officials from Amtrak are responding to the scene, and the NTSB has been advised. The investigation is in its preliminary stages.
This deadly incident comes just 1 day after another Amtrak train collided with a car in Northern California, killing 3 people. The National Transportation Safety Board has launched an investigation into the incident. A 14-member crew is expected to arrive at the scene Tuesday. In Mendon, Missouri, Madison Scarpino, Fox News.
Looks like some of us are going to be paying more for natural gas. The Missouri Public Service Commission has approved an agreement in a rate case filed by the Empire District Liberty Utilities Company. It means the average residential customer is going to pay about $1.50 more per month for natural gas. Liberty provides natural gas to 44,000 customers in 19 Missouri counties, including Vernon County. Carthage is gearing up for the return of one of the 4 states' largest annual festivals. Marian Days will return in August for the first time since 2019. Brings tens of thousands of Vietnamese American Roman Catholics to town for a big 4-day celebration of faith and heritage. The Carthage City Council tonight discussed a few matters concerning traffic, security, and cell phone towers to accommodate the crowds. The festival had been an annual event since 1978 until the pandemic forced organizers to cancel it the last 2 summers. City leaders are glad to see it return.
Vast majority of our community just really likes Marian Days. It's to the point now where a lot of our community will come out there to walk through, and they have food tents out there. They'll eat and interact with the pilgrims that come for the event, and it truly is. It's something to experience. It really is.
Marian Days will be August 4th through the 7th on the campus of the Congregation of the Mother Co-Redemptrix. Let's check in with Nick Cully for a first look at the weather.
It's been a pretty quiet day overall, Dal, but fortunately temperatures stay nice and warm with very low humidity, a nice change of pace compared to last week. In fact, the numbers this morning quite telling. We actually dropped back into the upper 50s this morning before we catapulted into the lower to middle 80s this afternoon. But throughout the course of the evening, we see mostly cloudy skies build back in, and you can see on the radar now additional rain, or at least looks like it, trying to work out away from the Kansas Turnpike. That's because an upper level wave upstairs is working across the state of Kansas, but all this rain is being gobbled up by dry air, so not really seeing a lot, if any, in the way of rain chances as the wave continues overnight. Upper 60s, lower 70s, where most of us sit right now. We'll also deal with the cloud cover until it starts clearing out. By the time we hit sunrise, lows around 63, but looking great for tomorrow. Dow with another quick warm up, but not bad, with highs in the mid 80s. We'll have to break down, unfortunately, when the heat will return here in a few.
See you then. The U.S. Supreme Court's historic decision to strike down its nearly 50-year-old precedent on abortion rights shifts the debate from Washington, D.C. to the states, and state leaders are staking out their positions. It's an immediate issue for the people of Kansas, who will vote August 2nd on whether to authorize state lawmakers to adopt tighter restrictions on abortions. KOAM today talked with Kansas Attorney General Derek Schmidt, who voiced his support for the Supreme Court ruling.
Well, I think the U.S. Supreme Court got the law right. I think Roe versus Wade was incorrect from the time it was decided as a matter of constitutional law. The opinion from 1973 read like a policy paper or a political compromise, not like a constitutional interpretation. So I think the court did the right thing. It's going to invite some difficult discussions in Kansas and around the country.
Trigger laws banning most abortions are already in effect in Missouri, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. Pregnancy resource centers around the U.S. are getting threats following the Supreme Court's reversal of Roe v. Wade. Over the weekend, a center in Denver was set on fire. Elizabeth Van Meter visited one near Springfield, Missouri, where workers are very nervous.
They're in crisis mode. They're scared.
Mary Jackson, the director of the Republic Pregnancy Resource Center, says they've assisted more than 10,000 women. A pro-life entity, they say they're here to let people know all of the choices they have.
Myself, when I started here 11 years ago, didn't know all the options.
They say they love to help women feel safe, but last week they began to question their own safety.
It's been on our Facebook page. A lot of it's civil, and some of it's not.
Posts that feel threatening, so much so that the center is taking action to add protection.
We're a lot more cautious.
By the end of last week, they already installed cameras and spoke with the Republic Police Chief.
Ordered a security system, so we feel safe because we have the Lord, but at the same time, we're prepared.
They want the community to know all of the resources they are providing, from classes
You enjoy the parenting class.
to free ultrasounds and pregnancy testing. And this.
Beautiful, wonderful boutique.
Filled with products for parents, from baby clothes, maternity clothes, diapers, and toys. She says the center is prepared for possibly more women coming to them for help.
We have been from the day we opened our doors. You know, even when we had the handful of clients, then now that we have our 50 clients, you know, we're ready.
Fireworks season can always lead to accidents if we're not careful, and experts warn you should never aim fireworks at another person because any fireworks can be dangerous. Also, it's a good idea to keep a bucket of water nearby in case you need to quickly extinguish anything. And don't let the small fireworks fool you. They can be dangerous too.
We really encourage, even more than the big ones, that you do brace the small ones. A lot of people don't brace the small ones, and I feel like it's even more important. It's important for all of them, but maybe even more important for small fireworks than for large ones.
Experts also recommend you back up to a safe distance after lighting any fireworks. Some McDonald County, Missouri middle schoolers are reaching out with podcasts to teach four-staters about the environment and help some of the area's bird population. They're doing a podcast and talking with scientists at KNEO Radio, studying whippoorwills. The population of that bird species is declining in our area, and the students themselves are learning in the process.
I love watching them grow and develop from doing something that is pretty hard for them, but they rise to the challenge, and I think they're gonna knock it out of the park today.
The program is called SOAP. It's a combination of the words success and hope. Coming up, why some Oklahoma residents are filing a federal suit to challenge a state law. Plus,
the Supreme Court sides with a former high school football coach disciplined for praying after games. I'm Skyler Henry in Washington, breaking down the justice's opinion on this First Amendment case.
6 Oklahomans have filed 2 federal lawsuits that challenge a state law intended to crack down on protesters. They also allege their civil rights were violated when they were arrested in Oklahoma City in 2020. The 6 say the anti-protest law is unconstitutionally broad and vague. The law, passed in 2021, increases the penalties for blocking roadways and grants immunity to motorists who kill or injure rioters. The second lawsuit alleges that the constitutional rights of 5 of the 6 plaintiffs were violated when they were charged with inciting a riot following a confrontation with police. Oklahoma primaries are tomorrow. Party nominations will be decided for governor, U.S. Senate, a state representative seat, state treasurer, and more locally, the district attorney for Ottawa County as well. And be sure to download the KOAM News app for all your election needs. You can also go to our website for election information at koamnewsnow.com/elections. The website includes resources for all of the 4 state areas, such as polling places, deadlines, dates. You can even check to see if you're registered to vote. Once again, that's koamnewsnow.com/elections. The Supreme Court again ruled in favor of religious plaintiffs. Today's decision centers around a former Washington State high school football coach who prayed on the 50-yard line after games. The majority opinion reaffirms the ex-coach's First Amendment rights, while the dissent warns of a disservice to the country's long-standing separation of church and state. Skylar Henry has more on the court's decision.
The Supreme Court ruled in favor of a former high school football coach who sued his Washington State school district, claiming it violated his constitutional rights when it told him to stop praying with students midfield after games.
I think it's a great ruling for America.
Writing the 6-3 majority opinion, Justice Neil Gorsuch stated, "The Constitution and the best of our traditions counsel mutual respect and tolerance, not censorship and suppression, for religious and non-religious views alike."
People of faith or no faith, everybody has the same rights, and that's what the Constitution is all about.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who helped install the court's new conservative justices, expressed his approval.
Chalk one up for the Supreme Court.
This latest ruling from the conservative majority court moved the needle further toward expanding individual and corporate religious rights and narrowing the separation between church and state. Justice Sonia Sotomayor alluded to the blurred lines in her dissent, cautioning the decision sets us further down a perilous path in forcing states to entangle themselves with religion, with all of our rights hanging in the balance. Bremerton School District said it was following the law, and it would work with its attorneys to remain a welcoming, inclusive environment for all. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Washington.
Justice Sotomayor wrote the coercive pressures on students to join in the prayer were inherent. Justice Gorsuch wrote there was no evidence of coercion in the record. Forensic teams carried bodies away as investigators searched for clues to explain how 21 teenagers died inside a South African nightclub. When witnesses saw victims keep collapsing one after the other, they called police. Investigators say it's possible victims died from something they ate, drank, or smoked. Some on the scene suggested a possible gas leak. A little bit later, we visit Wildcat Glades and look at what it has to offer.
But first, we've got another nice Tuesday lineup with warm temperatures, but when will the heat return? Forecast next.
Candlebox Live.
After we put up with a decent stretch, for lack of a better word, of hot and humid weather, it was nice that Mother Nature gave us a break to wrap up the weekend with highs in the lower 80s yesterday. And then quite a dip this morning. Upper 50s to lower 60s this morning. And then the same dry air mass that felt nice and refreshing, certainly this morning, catapulted us back into the lower to middle 80s this afternoon. We certainly also got that warm up underway with plenty of sunshine this morning. But as the day progressed, we actually saw a good deal of cloud cover building from the west. That's because we've got a quick upper wave starting to pass overhead now as we speak. All it's successfully doing really is keeping sure that we have partly to mostly cloudy skies to venture into the overnight. And at times it looked as though the radar over parts of southeast Kansas was showing some light to moderate showers, but the main problem with that is it's trying to overcome a lot of dry air near the surface. That's why the same dry air that prevented a lot of us from seeing any showers is pretty much eating away at the leftover rain chances that are still around the Kansas Turnpike. So I think a lot of us will stay dry during the overnight. Even though it's dark, we've got cloudy skies up top from Indigo Sky outside of Seneca, Missouri, and from 7th and Rangeline as well. But we're dry, pretty much everybody. 71 degrees, the dew points in the mid-50s. We're not going to drop near that number throughout the course of the night because of the cloud cover up top, but eventually the upper 60s to lower 70s that we're seeing now, that will eventually drop back into the lower 60s as we get where are we going here? Your Tuesday morning underway. Yeah, tomorrow's Tuesday. Wider picture shows a lot of rain that tried to come out of southwestern Kansas as well, but the big influence here, high pressure at the surface, is eating away at those rain chances as our main upper level wave continues to pass on overhead. Once that clears out, we're looking nice and bright for tomorrow. Then we got another upper level ridge building out to the west. That will be coming back into play sooner than you know it. In the meantime, though, we'll get this upper level wave out of here first. Any decent, and really decent being a little optimistic here, rain chances trying to come through with this wave mainly stays out in the turnpike and out in central parts of Kansas. Around here, I think it's just partly to mostly cloudy skies to start the morning out. But then as soon as the wave clears out, so does the rest of the cloud cover. We'll go back to mostly sunny skies for the day tomorrow. With that dry air mass and an easterly and southeasterly breeze, we'll go from 63 in the morning, 80 by noon, and pushing afternoon highs to about 85. Looking mostly clear for Wednesday morning, back in the lower 60s. But even though the dry air stays in place, that's going to allow temperatures to quickly rebound back near 90 as we go into Wednesday, also because of that upper level ridge trying to build back in. But what's turning interesting as we go into the holiday weekend, this is a little bundle of tropical moisture that wants to come our way and interact with an incoming cold front. That wants to give us some rain chances as we go into the holiday weekend. I'm thinking maybe an isolated storm Friday, maybe scattered thunderstorms on Saturday, then just scattered storms for Sunday and the 4th of July. I don't think a complete washout down, but these are rain chances we'll have to keep an eye on. On the plus side, we'll go from 85 tomorrow and either near 90 or in the lower 90s through much of the stretch and going through the holiday weekend.
Temperatures not as bad as they could be, certainly for this time of year.
Thank goodness for that.
Thanks, Nick. Hey, if you're looking for a fun summer activity, you might check out Joplin's Wildcat Glades. That park is open and is part of the local ecosystem. It's something the Wildcat Glades Friends Group is working to conserve. It features plenty of nature trails and a river, as well as some recreation areas where families can just hang out and enjoy nature.
Or you can rent a pavilion, you can bring a hammock, you can rent our hammocks and hang out in the park. We'll tell you what trees you can use to put those hammocks on and teach you how to use a hammock. So what can you not do out at Wildcat Park? That's really the question.
There's going to be a water festival at the Glades on August 13th. Crews removed the old transmitter from the very top of our tower. They did it today. For now, we are broadcasting from a temporary transmitter lower on the tower as we prepare to put the new, more powerful transmitter at the top. Our signal is kind of glitchy for some of you. That is just short term. We are working on fixing this. When the project is finished, we're going to be broadcasting with more power than ever. Check out the progress anytime on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com/power. Coming up, why an Arkansas judge shot down a formerly convicted man's request for a DNA test to clear his name. An Arkansas man who served time for murder is working to clear his name. Damian Eccles, one of the West Memphis Three, was a teenager when the crime occurred. Now, nearly 30 years later, he was hoping further DNA testing would help exonerate him. But as Mandy Rock reports, a judge denied Eccles' motion.
Free man right now?
Some days. Some days yes, some days no.
Damian Eccles reflects on his life since his 2011 release from prison. Moments before we talked, a Crittenden County judge shot down his request for new DNA testing in the West Memphis 3 murders.
It felt like they, would rather nitpick at aspects of the law than find out who actually killed these children.
Almost 11 years ago, Eccles and the 2 other men convicted in the murders walked out of prison. They were not exonerated. Instead, they entered Alford pleas, which means they maintained their innocence, but acknowledged there was enough evidence to convict them. Thursday, Eccles and his attorney walked into court once again. They hoped to get permission to use new technology to test for DNA on ligatures found on the victims.
But we didn't ask for a petition for habeas corpus. That wasn't our argument. Our argument was for a petition for further DNA testing.
The judge said she could not grant that request, citing an Arkansas statute that requires anyone petitioning for new DNA testing still be in prison.
Our concern seems to be with the fact that the legislature is not passing laws that are just, that would allow Damien and others to be able to actually find themselves in a situation to be completely exonerated, even though they've been released from custody.
Eccles' attorney, Patrick Benka, said they plan to appeal. Until then, Eccles says the fight to clear his name will continue.
There are so many people behind this case now that want to know the truth that the momentum of that alone is going to keep carrying it forward, whether I am part of it or not.
The judge said if state legislators pass a law to change the requirement that those requesting new DNA testing be in custody, the decision could be potentially overturned. A final check of the weather is next. We take time now to honor a member of the armed forces. Zach Lawson joined the U.S. Army in 2007. His hometown, Welch, Oklahoma. And we're proud to salute Private First Class Zach Lawson, a four-state hero. The world's ugliest dog contest returns after a hiatus due to the pandemic. The 2022 winner is Mr. Happy Face, who won over the judges and the crowd with his crooked head and gray mohawk and hairless, pimple-ridden body, along with his kind of awkward hobble and snort-like breathing. Who couldn't love all of those things? The world's ugliest dog contest took place in Petaluma, California. Look at that tongue hanging out there.
Plus, if any dog can rock a mohawk, that's not ugly. That's pretty cool.
I have to agree with you there. Not just anybody can pull that off, you know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't try, for example. The weather, not too bad for the next couple of days.
Yeah, we'll keep it nice and dry tomorrow with highs near 85, but back in the 90s throughout much of the stretch. Rain chances by the weekend, though. We'll watch it closely.
Morning show starts at 5 a.m. Let's make it a great tomorrow.
Service is provided by the